Hello everyone, this is Silver Kyle Wrestling, and today I'm going to talk about Alberto Del Rio. Originally I was going to make a review about TNA's Against All Odds pay-per-view that just happened, but I haven't watched a pay-per-view from TNA since Bound for Glory 2010, so I've missed the last 3 pay-per-views anyway, and I haven't really been keeping up with their storylines, so I decided that, to be fair with TNA, I'll watch everything that they've done so far, catch up with them, and then I'll start doing TNA pay-per-view reviews from then on. So instead, I'll be talking about Alberto Del Rio, but just before I get into that, I'd like to quickly talk about the Royal Rumble that just happened a few weeks ago. I rewatched it, and I ended up liking Edge versus Dolph Ziggler a bit more than I had thought. I give it 3.5 before, and on second viewing I give it 3 3/4. It's probably my match of the year for WWE, and it's probably my top 5 for 2011 so far. The Rumble match I didn't enjoy as much a second time. I gave that 3 3/4 originally, and I'd like to give that 3.5 instead. I'm always rewatching matches just because I always find that there's little things that you miss the first time around, and it's just sometimes more enjoyable to watch it the second time, or you start seeing that you were marking out a little bit too much the first time, and you have to take that into consideration. So another thing I'd like to mention about the Royal Rumble is that John Morrison was basically made for matches like that, like specialty matches, like ladder matches, Money in the Bank, Royal Rumble. He's just like this crazy awesome wrestler that can just hit a bunch of high spots, and they all look really awesome. Even the next night on Raw, they had like a 7-man battle royale, and he looked really good. I think he messed up once, but I mean, it wasn't as bad as R-Truth when they both like tried to skin the cat or whatever that move is called, and R-Truth just could not do it, and Morrison did it like within an instant. So I'm thinking that what they should do with John Morrison is, even though he's not the greatest on the mic, like he's probably one of the worst, I'd try to push him as like a Shawn Michaels, Edge, Jeff Hardy, Chris Jericho. More so Jeff Hardy, because he never really had to be on the mic that long, and just like a specialty guy that just can do awesome spots, and he's an awesome wrestler. I think that that's the direction that they should go with him. Yeah, I think Morrison's awesome, and I think that this year he's probably going to win one of the Money in the Bank matches, either at WrestleMania or the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. He should anyway. That's the best way that he could get the title, I think. Just hold it for a few months and then slowly just build him up from there. Once in a while winning it every year or two, just for a few months holds the title. I think that would be the best way, and then slowly give him more mic time, give him time to develop. He'll eventually be able to talk on the mic. I think that one of his major problems is his voice. It's too, I don't know, it's not mature enough. He doesn't sound like a guy, and I think that hurts him a lot. It's not his fault, but I mean, it really hurts it when you don't sound like a man, if that makes any sense to any of you. Anyway, the main point of this video, it's Alberto Del Rio, him winning the Royal Rumble, and what I think about that. I think Alberto Del Rio is an awesome wrestler, and he's been wrestling for a while now. I think like over 10 years maybe, or just 10 years, but you know, he's paid his dues in the wrestling business. But the thing is that he's still too new to the WWE audience. Like, this is the first time that I've ever seen him. So when he debuted in August, I think, on SmackDown, that was the first time that I ever saw him, and he hasn't even been in the business for a year now. So I just like to kind of go with the positive and negatives of having him win the Rumble. Obviously, winning the Rumble will make him into a star, regardless of if he's only been in the company for like 6 or 7 months now. So it's already starting to happen. Like, you see, he's starting to get more time, he's starting to get a little bit more heat, he's getting interviews all over, and I actually saw one of his interviews. It was only like 10 minutes long, but it was really neat to see him not in character and just talking about like everything that's happened so far. It kind of made me appreciate him more and kind of like him more. So hopefully that this continues, and he can become like a main guy, kind of like John Cena is, and how The Miz is kind of becoming, where he's doing all radio shows and interviews all over the world and doing TV spots here and there. Because I really do enjoy Alberto Del Rio talking, not in character. And it seems as though that he's already getting more attention than The Miz, because The Miz was all like this big thing when he won the title, and it was even before he won the title, they just gave him lots of time, and it was like he's going to be the next big thing. But it's already Alberto Del Rio seems to be outshining The Miz, if that makes any sense, which is good because I like Alberto Del Rio more than The Miz. Now, the negatives obviously is that because he's so new to the WWE audience, he might end up becoming somebody like Sheamus. Sheamus, you know, he hadn't even had a pay-per-view match before he won the title, which I think was just a horrible idea. And then the way that they booked him without being able to beat like any of his opponents on pay-per-view other than like, what, Fatal 4-Way, like sneaking a win after Nexus attacked and Nexus helping him out to beat Cena. Like, he doesn't seem like a legitimate threat. The only time that I actually felt like he was a legitimate threat was after his ladder match with John Morrison from TLC. I thought that they had an amazing match, probably it was either the match of the night or the second best match of the night, but the way that they booked him in that just made him look like an unstoppable monster, and Morrison had to do like everything he could just to like beat him. And I think that that's how Sheamus should have been built up. But another thing too is that WWE is like so afraid of like pushing other people other than Randy Orton and John Cena that it just seems so weird to not, you know, try to build up other wrestlers. For one thing, it makes John Cena and Randy Orton look weak if they can't, or kind of tarnishes their image if they can't, like, if they're continually going for the title and they can't win, you know? It's like, okay, well, this is his 7th or 8th try this year and he still hasn't won the title, or he only won it for a few months and then that was it. I think that the main heroes of wrestling, like John Cena and Randy Orton right now, they're kind of like The Rock and Stone Cold, in terms of they're the top faces of the company. So I think that they should only be going for the title once in a while. They kind of gave Cena a rest with it when he was fighting Nexus, which was kind of good. I like that they did that, but then they were continuously having Randy Orton going for the title or being the champion, which just makes you're too dependent on those two stars then, and you can't create new stars. And I really think that they should have pushed John Morrison for them and versus The Miz instead of Randy Orton versus The Miz at Royal Rumble, because we all knew that The Miz was going to retain the title somehow. Although they wanted Punk and Orton to start a feud, but still, it's just a waste of time. And it was a chance to build up John Morrison as a potential threat to the title and a possible main eventer. So instead of having Alberto Del Rio win the Royal Rumble, what I would have done, because Del Rio is just, I think, just a little bit too fresh for the WWE, and I really do like Alberto Del Rio. I think that he's going to have a great future, and I really look forward to like a title reign with him as a heel, because I really get into his heel promos. I really get into his in-ring work. I just want to see him built up properly, and that's my biggest problem with any wrestling federation. More so WWE nowadays. They always just seem to push the wrong kind of people, and I just don't understand some of their booking ideas sometimes. They never seem to be able to push people properly, I find anyway. Especially pay-per-views. I'll get into that another time. But I would have given the Royal Rumble win to CM Punk instead. Last year and this year, he just had really good crowd reactions, and it seems as though the WWE realizes this as well, because they always give him like a lot of time to be in the ring, and he's always like, you know, last year he was eliminating people and then he'd have time alone in the ring by himself. Like that was just pretty awesome. And then same again this year, he had Nexus with him, but still they know that he's got the potential to, you know, get the crowd into the match and get good heat. So I don't know why they just don't give him the Rumble win or something like that. It's like the fans are waiting to cheer more for him or boo more for him if he won something like that, because it's so big that they would know that he's like a credible main event player, knowing that he's going into, you know, main event WrestleMania, and it would probably be against John Cena. So that would just like do wonders for his career. Even if he lost the match, it would just mean something that he, you know, he was in the main event of WrestleMania and going up against John Cena. That will still create buzz for CM Punk. Even if he loses, he's still going to be considered, you know, one of the top guys. Just make him look really strong, kind of like what they did with Sheamus versus John Morrison. And there you go. That would just work out really well. And another thing too is that they had a really good match, John Cena and CM Punk, on Raw in the beginning of January. I gave it about 3.5 stars, and I just saw so much more potential if they were allowed to go like 20-25 minutes on a pay-per-view with a build towards it. It would just be so awesome. The only thing is I wouldn't have Nexus with them. I would have completely booked Nexus differently. I would have kept Wade Barrett with Nexus until WrestleMania, and I would have had Punk just going solo and attacking Cena. I don't know what the storyline would be, but something different than him becoming the leader of Nexus. I just think that Punk can kind of work any kind of stipulation or storyline, and he'll make it like awesome. So there's no need to worry about him not having people like Nexus backing him up. So yeah, Alberto Del Rio, here's hoping that it works out for him and that the fans don't treat him like Sheamus. Here's hoping that they do give him a few good wins and build him up properly so that he can seem like a credible threat to the main event, to the title. That he can actually be a champion for a while. I wish they would have gone with Punk, but maybe next year. Here's hoping that he still gets programmed with Cena sometime this year and has a few pay-per-view matches, because I think that they could really produce some match of the year candidates and a good storyline as well. Just briefly gonna say the next few videos that I'd like to do. Bear in mind that if I have enough time. But the next video I'd like to do is the Elimination Chamber build-up. So after SmackDown and just before the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, maybe Saturday, I'd like to do a quick video about how well they've done or how bad they've done building up the pay-per-view. And then obviously, if I can watch the pay-per-view, I'll do a review about that as well. But I'm working, I think, till 8 or 8:30 that night, so I'm not sure. It might be delayed until the next day that I can actually do the review on Monday. Then I would also like to explain how I would book Nexus instead of having them disband and then reforming the core and the new Nexus, and that will eventually lead to how I would have booked WrestleMania 27 and having John Cena versus Punk and Nexus still as a whole. So yeah, so that's 4 videos I'd like to do in the next little bit, and if by some chance I see something else interesting wrestling related and I have the time, I'll do that as well. So thanks for watching, subscribe, and see ya.